Let's begin in Sri Lanka, where high inflation and prolonged power cuts have created a mounting pressure on country's ruling Rajapaksa family. On Saturday, Colombo witnessed the biggest protest to date over the country's dire economic and political crisis. Citizens poured onto Colombo's seafront promenade and laid siege to the colonial-era presidential secretariat. The chants of "Go Home Gota" filled the venue of protests, while others waved the national lion flag. Others carried handwritten placards that read, "It's time for you to leave," and "Enough is enough." Tens of thousands of people marched on beleaguered President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's office. Entrance to the president's office was blocked through barricades. The demonstration took place in the presence of riot police, taking up positions inside the tightly guarded compound. Anti-government protests have raged across the island nation for days. At least one of those turned violent in the capital of Colombo.
So as you can see, by choice or by fate, we decided to stay in Sri Lanka, and you can see the frustration. I've never stepped out on the streets, but today I made it a point to come to the street because we are truly fed up. They have robbed our country, right, and they continue to do so. And as you can see, they don't even step down, so you see the power hunger they have.
For several months, Sri Lankans have endured long lines to buy fuel, cooking gas, food and medicine. The fuel shortage has caused rolling power cuts, which often last several hours a day. Most of the essential goods are imported, but Sri Lanka's foreign reserves are running dry. Sri Lanka couldn't pay for imports of basic supplies because of its huge debts and dwindling foreign reserves. In a bid to resolve the crisis, Sri Lanka's central bank is expediting the debt restructuring process. The organization will also seek financial assistance from the International Monetary Fund. The country has nearly $7 billion in foreign debt obligations for this year alone. And over the next 5 years, Sri Lanka is set to pay foreign debt of more than $25 billion. To restore supplies of essential items, the newly appointed Sri Lankan Finance Minister Ali Sabri says the country needs over $3 billion of assistance in the next 6 months. The Finance Minister will lead a delegation of Sri Lankan officials to Washington to start talks with the IMF on 18th of April.
Basically, if we can restore the supply chain, if we can provide these necessities on time, we can get our tourism back on track. That will bring dollars in. We need to protect our export industry. We need to protect our supply chain. So if we can do that, I feel if we can, I mean, the numbers are still being worked out. I just taken over a day or two ago. But the rough figure is probably we need about 3 billion infusion during the next 3 to 6 month time from now to 3 to 6 months for us to meaningfully come out of it. India probably, if we can, now they have given fuel for about 500 million and 1 billion other products. So if we can extend the fuel for another 500 million, probably that will be enough for about 5 weeks or so. So China, we'll have to talk to them and find out how they can help us.
The development comes a day after an unprecedented hike in interest rates by Sri Lanka's central bank. Interest rates have been raised by 700 basis points to tame inflation. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka's Monetary Board has raised its standing lending facility to 14.5% and its standing deposit facility to 13.5%. The move comes amid prolonged and crippling shortages of basic goods driven by a devastating economic crisis. The heavily indebted country has little money left to pay for imports, meaning fuel, power, food, and increasingly medicines are in short supply. Sri Lanka's foreign exchange reserves have plunged some 70% in the past 2 years, hitting $1.93 billion at the end of March. Inflation, meanwhile, has rocketed to its highest level in more than a decade. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.